Welcome to the Kale Show. I think it's time for another true sales expert. So I've invited Hans, and Hans did something very special. Hans wrote a fairy tale, not a book, it's a fairy tale.
It's a fairy tale.
Explaining sales in a completely different way.
And a fairy tale for adults.
A fairy tale for adults because of the crazy language or all the hot...
and all the hot scenes.
Hot scenes. I'm going to put it away. Tell me about the book. Why a fairy tale?
Well, because most books are extremely boring. And I know a lot of guys and a lot of girls with a lot of management books that are lying around next to their beds and are never being read.
Most companies just buy them to say, well, we've offered you education.
So I wanted to write a book that is easily readable. And so I said, okay, I want a guy, I want a knight, something medieval, going on a quest. I said, okay, a fairy tale, that's perfect. But there's also another reason I put it in the medieval times, because I wanted to get back to basics. What I see nowadays with a lot of startups is they want to run before they can walk. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to do sales, but they've got their Instagrams linked to their LinkedIn profiles, linked to their HubSpot, blah, 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 all the funnel automation things. But they should go back to the beginning. So I wanted to go back to a time where there was no technology, only the basics, And that's what I did.
No excuses then. No place to hide after technology.
No technology, only pure customers and pure suppliers.
So you can imagine when Hans would train you, he's going to take away everything and he's going to say, it's just going to be you.
My idea was, okay, we're going to have a guy. He's a blacksmith. Actually, he's the assistant of a blacksmith. And he, by accident, discovers a special kind of horseshoe. The horseshoe, what a shoe. Yeah. Shoe for a horse.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, this is amazing. And the thing, if you read the book, you will find out why it is amazing. He says, okay, I'm going to sell this to the king. And so he lives together with his friend, the goat, Irma, the goat, on his way to the king, but very naively, On their way, they learn the basics of sales and marketing, because for me, they're very intertwined, those two things. Mm-hmm. And when they arrive at the king's castle, a lot of stuff happens, but they left naively, but they arrive in a very...
They become like you, veteran in sales.
Yeah. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah. What I've discovered in my almost 20 years of sales, and I've also done a couple of business schools, and I've gathered, the best what I've found out in all those courses. And for me, there are three main things that you should take care of when you try to do business. There's trust. If they don't trust you, if they don't believe you, it doesn't really matter what you tell, what your product is about, just doesn't matter. So the fundamental number one is, how do I have people trust me?
How do you gain trust?
How do you gain trust, you and your company, obviously. But a lot of companies are focused on trusting the company, but not enough in trusting them as a person.
Yeah, I fully follow.
There's another element, value. I can trust you. I mean, you can be even my mother. If she comes with a bad proposal, I won't do it, So it has to be a proposal that's valuable. Mm-hmm. Valuable doesn't mean this machine can do 3000 RPM or this car can do this speed or whatever. I'm not talking about technical specs. I'm talking about real value. Real value meaning, what does it mean for you? And then there's a third one that a lot of people forget. Number 3.
Sorry.
Risk.
That's a good one. I thought you would go to structure, but okay.
No, structure, that's so 90s.
That's so 90s. Damn, I gotta change my slides. Yeah. Risk.
Structure is also important. Risk. Why? Because you might have an attractive proposal and they might trust you. But then at the final end, just before they make the decision, they start looking at the proposal in a different way, with different glasses. If I do this, what can go wrong? Risk splits up in 2 aspects. What is the probability that it goes wrong? Mm-hmm. And the second aspect is, if it goes wrong, what is the damage?
The other thing I wanted to quickly touch upon, to try and condense the show a bit, is one of your first loves, which is teaching engineers to sell.
Yeah,
which is,
that
I
kind
think,
of love you're
a
talking
lot
about.
of the startups and scale-ups that come to me, software guys, always say, Michael, we are not sales, we are engineers. And I say, I kind of like engineers because they... So what would be your advice there? I mean, what's the thing you say, guys?
Well, the thing, I'm an engineer myself, so I think I can speak freely.
You're excused. It's okay.
No, but I've always been working in between engineers, but always commercial work. But I've seen a lot of them at work. First of all, there is absolutely no difference between the sales work an engineer has to do and any other guy or girl. I mean, it's exactly the same thing.
I agree.
There's only one difference, not in the kind of work, but in the kind of mistakes they make. Engineers, as you probably already noticed, are very smart people. But there's a risk in being smart. You tend to talk too much.
True, and you want to be correct on so you have to explain every single bloody detail.
Exactly. And there's only one thing worse than making a mistake for an engineer.
Talking too much?
No, for themselves, not knowing the answer.
Yeah.
The worst nightmare of an engineer is to be seen as stupid. So once they're in a meeting with a customer and there is some pressure, they start to show, because that's the real behavior. When there is a lot of pressure, then you notice the real behavior. They start to show the customer how much they know about the topic. And they forget completely that they're not there to prove the customer that they're very smart. They're there to help the customer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the real challenge for an engineer in sales is to know a lot about the topic and then to shut up about it. We both know that silence is a very powerful weapon. But you have to be socially very strong,
skilled
to handle silence.
And you can train yourself on that.
Yeah.
I count in my head.
To 10.
The problem is, I count very fast.
You became a very fast counter.
Yeah, I'm a really fast counter. So I think I can count to 10 in 1 second, right? No, I think we should wrap it up.
You learned the wrong expertise from it.
So I would say, read it. I mean, you heard Hans talking, an engineer trained in sales, writing a fairy tale about sales. I'm sure you're going to learn something. At least you're also going to laugh a bit, because I thought there was some really good jokes in there.
There's a goat in it that farts all the time. It's funny.
You see, and probably there is a pig in it too.
A what?
A pig.
No, there's a goat, there's a talking apple, there's a crazy donkey. There are a lot of crazy people, actually.
Okay, cool. With that, Hans, thanks for coming to the show.
Michael,